Good morning. Thank you all for joining us here in Angleton, here in Brazoria County. We wanted to kind of give an update to our citizens, and with your assistance, we'll be able to do that. There's a lot of information out there that's flowing all up and down the Texas coast, and we're just trying to focus in what the Brazoria County citizens need to know and need to hear about what's going on in Brazoria County, what's going to affect them. I'm joined up here this morning by my Emergency Management Coordinator, Steve Rosa, Sheriff Charles Wagner, Commissioner Dude Payne from Precinct 1, Commissioner David Linder from Precinct 4, and Judge Richard Davis, who's given us the use of his courtroom this morning. Just an update on where we're at and what's going on in Brazoria County. Right now we're under a mandatory evacuation for the Gulf side of the intracoastal waterway only. And the reason that we've called for that mandatory evacuation effective at noon today is because of an expected storm surge in the 5 to 8 foot range. It is for surge only. So a lot of folks get concerned about evacuations because of wind and everything else. The wind is not going to be an overall issue here in Brazoria County. It's the storm surge. So the communities of Surfside, Quintana, and then from Surfside all the way down to Treasure Island, that is the area on the Gulf side of the intracoastal that is under the mandatory evacuation. We've also called for a voluntary evacuation, some low-lying areas that could also see some storm surge over Bridge Harbor, Hideaway on the Gulf, River's End, Demijohn, and Turtle Cove. Those communities could also see some high water from the storm surge, and we're going to ask them to remain vigilant on what's going on. The current conditions and the expected conditions here in Brazoria County. We just got off the National Weather Service call. They are still pretty firm with their track on Hurricane Harvey that it will make landfall tomorrow morning in the Corpus Christi, Rockport area. That's over 100 miles down the coast from us. What we will expect in Brazoria County, we'll expect a storm surge in the 5 to 8 foot range down on our coast. We'll also expect some tropical force winds that'll come in overnight. We may see winds up to about 60 miles an hour here in the county through tomorrow, sometime tomorrow afternoon. What we're going to see after that, and over the next 4 to 5 days, is we're going to see a lot of rain. Can I tell you how much it's going to rain? No, I can't. Can I tell you where it's going to rain? Well, it's going to rain everywhere. We're hoping that rain is spread out, but we need people to remain vigilant, because if we get torrential amounts of rains in a short amount of time period, we're going to see some flooding. So we just don't know when or how much. So we want our residents to remain very vigilant in that regard and be prepared for it. We're going to ask people to rely on legitimate news sources such as yourselves, such as our Brazoria County Twitter page, our Brazoria County website, our Brazoria County Facebook page, National Weather Service for conditions in Brazoria County. We're not going to see 125-mile-an-hour winds as our friends in Corpus are going to see. We're going to see up to 50 to 60-mile-an-hour winds here in the county. So just want to make sure that our citizens are aware of Brazoria County conditions. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to any questions that any of you might have. And again, we very much appreciate y'all being here and help us spreading the word to our citizens of the conditions that they may see. So with that being said, does anyone here have any questions?
How are you expecting this to compare to past storms and hurricanes?
Each storm and hurricane is different. I think what is on everybody's mind is the flooding we had last year, the river flooding. This is a completely different event than that. With all the rain, we could see some flooding next week, but we don't know that yet. So every storm is different, and we try to preach to our folks be ready, always be prepared, have gas in your car, have a game plan, stay in tune of the conditions that are going to be here. Don't react to what's going on in Corpus Christi. So let's pray for our friends down in Corpus Christi, Aransas County, San Patricio County, Jackson County, Matagorda County. The folks that are going to see some much tougher conditions as us, let's pray for them. But let's prepare for what we're going to see here in Brazoria County.
What are going to be the sheltering options for people that are being evacuated right now?
We have a shelter that will be opening up a little bit later here in Angleton for folks that are in those evacuated areas. But honestly, it only affects 3,000 to 4,000 people. A lot of the homes in those areas are vacation homes, weekend homes. So we honestly don't expect to see a lot of people in the shelter. But folks can look at our Brazoria County website, and we'll have that information out there. The shelter will be open later today.
Do you guys have the directions right now? Or
Sir?
Do you guys have the directions of the shelter?
Yes, it'll be on our website a little bit later. I don't have the exact address off the top of my head, but we'll have that information. It will go out shortly.
Have you had any problems with evacuations, people not wanting to leave so far? Or?
There are always people that don't want to leave, and if they don't leave, that is their personal decision. They just need to understand that while there's an event ongoing, there's going to be no resources if they get into a position where they need assistance. They're going to have to wait till the storm is over before we can get assistance to them. So it's a personal decision that they have to make. We're not going to go drag anybody out kicking and screaming by their heels, but they do need to understand they're on their own. I think, Sheriff, do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Exactly.
Can you step close to the microphone, please?
Sorry.
Exactly. If during the actual storm event, there's no way that we can be able to help those that chose on their own to stay. We've told them in the past, we've told them again this time, if you stay, you're on your own until after the storm is over with. I'm not going to risk the lives of my people to go in there for somebody that voluntarily stayed and then all of a sudden wants to come out.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, if you could reiterate, what are the areas that are voluntary and what are the areas that are mandatory?
Mandatory evacuation areas are the Gulf side of the Intracoastal. That is the city of Quintana, the village of Surfside Beach, all the way down to Treasure Island. It affects about 4,000 people. It is on the Gulf side of the Intracoastal. The voluntary evacuation areas that may see some storm surge as well are the communities of Bridge Harbor, Hideaway on the Gulf, River's End, Demijohn, and Turtle Cove. Most of those homes are built up. They may see some high water depending if we see the upper reaches of this expected predicted 5 to 8 foot storm surge. We're just wanting those folks to remain vigilant, be ready to move if they need to move.
Okay. And where do we stand on shelters?
There's a shelter that will be open a little bit later in Angleton, but I don't expect it to be very well utilized at this time. There's just not a whole lot of people that are affected by this mandatory evacuation. Anybody, we have a good levee system, Velasco Drainage District. We also have a levee around part of Angleton. Folks in Freeport and Lake Jackson, Clute, Angleton need to stay put. We're going to see some rain. We're going to see a little bit of wind. They don't need to be heading to a shelter. They need to stay in their homes, stay with friends. We're not going to have operations set up to shelter everybody in the county. We're just for the areas that are affected, and there's just not a large number of people. So
When will that shelter open?
it'll be open a little bit later today. We'll have that information. We'll go out on our Facebook page and out on our website. Final preparations are being worked on right now to get it ready. Are there any other questions? Sharon, is there anything I need to hit on else?
I think you covered it.
Okay. Thank y'all all for being here. We very much appreciate y'all helping spread the word to Brazoria County citizens of what they need to expect. Oh, our call center. What's the number on the call center? 979 864 1064. 979-864-1064. That is the number that Brazoria County citizens can call in and get updated information. Also, follow Brazoria County on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever else has been invented this morning that we don't know about yet. And also on our website. We'll be pushing information out. And again, we ask folks to look at legitimate news sources. Unfortunately, we have a lot of amateurs out there on social media that like to invent the news as they go along. We want people using legitimate news sources to get their information, to make their decisions that will affect their lives. So, again, one last call for questions. All right, thank you all very much. Thank you for being here.